This is going to be a upsetting episode. Sterkfontein was also the place where a tragedy occurred.
You would not know that massive dope-ass cave is underneath it at all.
No. This flooded area is consisting of narrow, pitch-black sumps and submerged tunnels that are still being mapped today.
Cartography just seems like it would be
Deadly.
This also was huge for the science community and the connections to our evolutionary background.
million.
What?
Oh my
Million.
Wait, that doesn't sound like what I learned in school.
He didn't know at the time that this would be the last conversation that they would all have together. In a cave, a quick peek is more likely a death sentence. So Peter was lost in this maze that was down there, and the safety line was nowhere to be seen. But what happened next is a bureaucratic red tape nightmare. He spent roughly 500 hours in total in absolute darkness, and he must have known his fate by some point because they found
Oh my god.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coast Files, your podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Chantel.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Megan. And we have ads.
We have ads.
Yes.
Yes, right. We needed to say we
I
need to start
know.
mentioning
I
that
mean,
again.
we said it last time, I thought.
It's been a few weeks and we've raised, oh my god, Lindsay, do you want to tell them how much money we've raised so far?
$18.64.
It's happening.
Guys, it's happening.
So just to give an idea, yeah, we're not making a ton of money off this stuff yet. But you know what? Baby steps.
It's exciting.
Oh, I mean,
It's still exciting.
we're
Yes.
teasing, but this is like
We're
we have
actually
ads.
at one
Like, this is
coffee
crazy.
each, probably, you know.
At Starbucks.
Starbucks. Yeah. Starbucks.
yeah.
we're
In
good.
Canadian. So, I mean, really in American.
This is American dollars, I said. So this
What?
is Yeah.
We're rich. You know what?
I quit.
We can probably share one burrito and get guac. So
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
how we
I
cut
actually
it 3
didn't
ways,
get
I
guac
don't know.
on my Chipotle today because I'm like, it's just so much more. I was like, I don't know.
Isn't it
I'm like, I'm
bad?
just gonna avoid the guac, and then I regretted it.
Wait,
so.
sorry. Speaking of guac, this is not related to anything, but I was in bed last night laughing about our avocado conversation
Our medical avocados.
where Chantel said something about the Mexican mafia avocados, but you call them
No,
medical.
I said medical mafia.
But it all translated. I'm like, I know she meant to say Mexican cartel and just avocados. And then
Yeah.
it became a whole joke about these avocados are for medicinal use, and frankly, none of your business.
Your business.
That thread
Yeah,
was
I
so.
don't-
I woke up to that this morning. Sorry, I just connected my
Okay, I thought
internet, and I
what
was like,
happening.
oh no,
Yeah.
hopefully it comes
sorry.
back.
But yeah, that made me laugh. And then when you mentioned the warrant, I was like, oh my god, I was just chuckling to myself in bed, like
Oh,
warrant.
yeah, that was so
Yeah,
good.
we're pretty funny even when we're not on camera, guys.
Maybe it's not coming across, but trust me, if you're in the chat, you'd be laughing.
It was hilarious.
Yes. In other
Um,
news, Chantel needs a new computer, so another reason for us to
yeah.
make some money.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, guys. I should make a video. We
I
should
was
put it
just-
on our thing because
people
like
need to
it's
know.
bad. So do you know what? Donate to our coffee page. You can go and watch our Scream episodes, where we
Please.
read Megan's fan fiction.
Oh, it's so good.
From when she was 12.
Child
And you
genius.
you can donate some money to getting me a new computer because it's literally holding on by a thread, and that thread is the connection between the screen and the rest of the computer. So
you
if
can
that
see
breaks,
through the computer now.
I'm
I can
Yes.
see your floor in that video you sent.
Try to edit as much as possible, Chantel, before.
Oh, I
you
know.
inevitably-
I have 3 videos to edit. I'm gonna get that done.
Is that all?
so-
Imagine editing on a phone. Just no, we can't.
No, thank you.
So
To
if
be
you
fair,
have if you have
the
$2
team has an-
kick it around, please.
Yeah,
Coffee, for the
please,
love of God.
Or an extra computer.
Or
Or
just
yeah.
I'll give you my address and I'll get that computer
I
to
use
her ASAP.
I use a PC. Okay.
Yeah, she does
Which is
not like
cheaper.
Mac.
No, I'm sorry. I'm used to this. All my things connect to it because I have a Google phone.
Trust me.
Yeah,
So-
that makes sense. That's why I have the Mac, because I'm like, all my things connect to that. So-
Yeah. So
But I use both
anyway,
daily, so I get it.
I honestly had to use an Apple before, and I am just like, I can't. I felt so old in that moment.
Yeah.
Being like,
Yeah.
what
Especially
is
'cause
this
it's
new
designed
technology
for children and old people to use it right away? So
You
Damn
do.
it.
If you do
I
get
was
used
like,
to
which
it.
one of these buttons closes Google? Like, I was just so lost.
that's okay.
Okay, but I will get us started today, I guess.
Okay, Grandma.
This is going to be a upsetting episode,
Oh.
Okay.
but I have some cool information to start it with.
This is like the one when everyone was drowning in your cave. So you're like, oh, but here's some cool science. I'm like, yeah, but everyone's dying.
Yeah, that was the blue hole of Dahab.
Episode 3 or 1.
Which
or
actually,
2.
one of the people that I talk about later did set a world record there at one point. It did get broken, but this guy, one of the guys I'm going to talk about, has been there before.
Okay. Well, can't wait to hear.
So that first photo that I gave you guys is just a cover photo. So you
That
can
was
go to
so
the
beautiful.
first photo.
It's a
Okay.
red herring.
Which is the Sterkfontein Cave.
Oh my God.
So isn't that cool?
We need to have a
Yes.
vampire wedding down here
Oh my
right
God.
now.
Oh my
Chantal,
god!
this is
Yeah,
where
like this-
your future wedding has to be.
That's actually very fair.
And I call up the guys at Quadza and they come play for you.
Mm. The catacombs of Sterkfontein.
I'm sure they're listening, so they'll put on their
100%.
calendar.
Clearly,
they
they're
are.
our number one fan.
Yeah, and Shaq can marry you.
Oh my god! And be our DJ.
Wedding of the
Yes.
century.
Well, Finley will
All
marry
right.
you. Shaq will
Okay.
DJ.
There we go. There we go.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
So this cave is found in an area that's known as the cradle of humankind. So, as I said before we get into the tragedy that occurred here, I just want to touch on why this cave is so amazing. So, the next photo shows you the cradle of humankind. It's 120,000 acre area that is listed as a World Heritage Site under UNESCO and is registered under the name Fossil Hominid Sites of South Africa.
It looks like nothing.
No, it does
looks like a
because I mean,
field,
you're
yeah.
looking, because it's all caves. So this is the above. Like this is just like
Oh,
the
you
area.
would never
of it.
know.
It's very
No.
unassuming. It-
Yes.
It looks very nice,
Mhm.
but you would not
Mhm.
know that that massive dope ass cave is underneath it at all.
No,
Like,
no. So in the okay, there's a lot of science names.
You can do
and
it.
African names, and
you're the only one that can
I'm
do it.
just
We're
yeah.
really bad.
Listen.
So in the Gauteng province of South Africa, about 40 kilometers or 25 miles northwest of Johannesburg, the Sterkfontein Cave, which means strong spring in Afrikaans, was accidentally discovered in 1896 by an Italian man named
Embrace it.
Guglielmo Martinagalia.
Sorry, that is the most crazy name I've ever heard.
Guglielmo, that's what it looks like. Martinagalia.
Okay,
So
feel
your
free to-
friend can judge me later.
She'll be like, Megan, I have no
It wasn't
idea what she's
close.
saying. Feel free to drop the spelling because, like, I need to see this spelled out because
Yeah.
this is insane.
Yes,
So
please
he
do.
was mining for limestone in the area, which I guess is used for gold mining. Didn't know that. So they use the
Okay.
limestone, something about maintaining the alkaline pH in the water during the processing of gold.
Sure, yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
gold mining was booming at the time in Johannesburg, and that's why they used to get a lot of lime. Didn't know that. I remember there being limestone mining, never thought to look into why. Finally did for a little bit. That's probably gold mining? Guys.
Ghost towns as a
That-
result of.
And all of that is like a rabbit hole of its own.
Could we? Okay, so
Right,
now you know how like normally mining doesn't involve oceans, right? Well,
Mhm.
like maybe that in itself is a reason why we should cover it
Hey,
because
there's
the
probably
absence
water
of
in them.
oceans. Right. Well, they use water to sift when they're in the rivers and stuff. I say we should do a group episode that involves.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Gold.
Like ocean
Yeah,
mining.
got it.
No,
Or
I mean it could
gold.
be whatever.
Okay.
Just gold.
Sorry, I had this thing where Maeve's headphones just connected and I got blasted with children's music.
So did you miss a part of what I said?
I think I got it, but if you heard me react a second ago, it was
No, your face looked funny, and I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know what's happening over there. I was like,
It's
she does
just
not like
gold
limestone.
mining.
No, I'm being it was like being like some of my ears hurt.
You were being
'cause-
assaulted.
Yeah, like audio and audio.
Auditorily.
Auditorily
assaulted.
assaulted.
You could say
yes.
that word, but you can't say Googleheim or whatever.
Guglielmo?
Anyway, I think I'm good. I told
okay.
Eric to like make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, good. So he blew this open and saw all the stalactites and stalagmites that you can see in that first photo, and he called it a Wondergott, which meant wonder hole. After some time, they
Is that a song by Oasis?
no, but it is a nickname that I have for anyways. So after
Yeah. Oasis right now is like, damn it, we missed an opportunity here.
Does anyone else feel crazy right now? I think I've had a really long week.
guys, I'm having a no sugar Coke, okay? I'm insane right now. Okay, after some time, they started to notice that there were fossils in there, and they decided to bring it to the attention to the science community to start excavating. And the cave system itself is pretty amazing. On the surface, as you guys could see there, it doesn't look massive, but it covers about 250 meters squared on the surface, which is roughly the size of 3 city blocks. But underground, and that's just the Sterkfontein. That's not saying this whole area. That's just the Sterkfontein Cave.
Okay.
So underground is a labyrinth of over 5 kilometers or 3.2 miles of surveyed interconnected tunnels. The system is essentially a 15-story drop into the earth. And for the first 50 meters or 164 feet or 23.1 shacks, it's a dry cave. And it has vast cathedral-like chambers with names like the Elephant Chamber and the Silberberg Grotto.
Rolls off the tongue.
So, yeah, it really does. You can go to the next photo, and you can't really read everything on here. I took this from a screenshot from a video, but it's kind of showing you how vast this cave system is.
My
Shout out to
first
the person
instinct
who
is
mapped
no.
this.
I'm not doing this. I'm not going here. Nope.
Yeah.
Cartography just seems like it would be
Deadly.
so hard and so like I would be so
And-
frustrated.
Actually, it's not called cartography and maps. It's called, hang on, I gotta look this up again.
This is
Special
cartography is
cave
on the
mapping?
surface.
Because it's spelunking.
Oh, spurlunking? I've heard of this. I thought that was when you just go into a cave on those ropes and you're like
Yes,
dangling.
it
Yeah.
is. So it's called
Spurlunkographer?
surveying is called speleological surveying
Okay.
Of course it is.
because you're spelunking.
Oh yeah, I'm connecting the dots.
Totally. Yeah. I think I do have to say that word again later too. So more on that.
Hey, you did a great job and shout out to you.
Thank you. So about where was I?
I'm lost in this cave, so I don't know.
So Elephant Chamber and the Silberberg Grotto. So about 90% of what is mapped is dry, but once you hit that 50 meters, you actually reach the water table. And this is where the wet cave begins. Although probably a lot of the cave would have been wet because it's kind of moist in there. But anyways,
Oh, that
this flooded area. Hang on, I have to burp. Oh, excuse me.
So once you go in, it gets wet and moist. You were saying.
Yes.
Lindsay, this is boats
In
all
the
over
Wondergott. The Wondergott is wet and moist.
Come into my wet cave.
Exactly. So, sorry,
wonder
this
hole?
flooded my wonder hole.
Welcome to my wonder hole. It's really
That's why I
tiny.
have to rate us R when I put these up.
We're talking about caves, Lindsay. The Sterkfontein
Jeez, what did you
Caves.
think?
Yeah.
Okay, so about 90% of what is mapped is dry, but then you reach the water table, and this is
And then
where
you
the
get
wet
wet.
cave begins. And this flooded area is consisting of narrow, pitch black sumps and submerged tunnels that are still being mapped today. And they are what make up the other 10% of the cave. So you can see that very small, like shaded in part there. That's the wet area.
What about the giant shaded in part?
Oh, down there in that hole? That's what I'm talking about. That giant, that area.
Okay.
To the,
One,
to
the
the
one
left.
on the left.
Yeah.
The big.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because I'm like, because you said small. I'm like, that doesn't look that small.
Well, it's only 10% of the cave, so it's kind of small. And
I guess when you
connected
look
to
at
the rest
the
of
like
it, yeah.
this map looks like it belongs in like a Tolkien book.
It reminds me
Jesus.
of like an ant colony
Oh,
of like what you would see in an
yeah.
ant
Yeah.
farm.
100% it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
No, don't want to go here
It's
though.
a very
ever.
good comparison, especially for those listening. You can visualize it.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Right,
If-
right.
I forgot this is a podcast. It looks like a ant cave.
Perfect. Okay.
What's it called? Ant
Or
ant
termites.
hills.
Or like, yeah, like termite too, like what they leave over.
It
with
also
the
kind of
wood
looks like a
afterwards.
piece of coral almost to me, with like all the
Mm,
different
see that?
sections.
Right back to the water.
Always relating.
So
Good connection,
there we
Lindsay.
go. So the underwater system is in a spot, they call it the Milner Lake, and it's located inside the massive Milner Hall. So if you go to the next photo, this is the entrance to the lake. Spooky.
Wow.
Really pretty.
Okay. So
Mhm.
it is a massive cave, obviously,
Mhm.
and the water is about halfway up, and the colors are wild, all kinds of shades of blue, and I see like little
Mhm.
not strings. How do you like? There's like a
It almost looks
pattern.
like oil in the water, but it's
Yeah.
not. I think it's probably
Okay.
silt or something
Are we
like
seeing
that.
a
Okay.
reflection or are we seeing into the water to the bottom?
I think
Oh,
that's a good question.
that
That's a
could
great
be a
question. So
reflection.
some of it up the probably closest to us would be what's in the water in those rocks,
Yeah,
but
that
then
makes
maybe in the
sense.
middle is a reflection
Yeah, because
coming up.
at the end it looks like you can see directly where it connects
Mhm.
from the piece that's out of the water. So I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Yes, this is so smart.
That's very, very cool photo. It's beautiful.
Um, so this looks calm, like an underground pond, but it's actually the mouth of the Swiss cheese network of flooded passages. But more on that later. So this cave is world famous for discoveries and part of the reason why it's a World Heritage Site. The first major discovery came here in 1947 after World War II when Dr. Robert Broom was able to continue excavation that had actually been started way back in 1936, but they had to stop during the world.
Because it was
War.
wartime. Yeah.
Right.
Because wartime. Yeah.
Other priorities.
Yes. Dr. Broom found STS-5, which its scientific catalog number meaning Sterkfontein 5, a near complete skull of an adult female, Australopithecus africanus, and that became known by the popular nickname Miss Plez, and that is your next photo.
I was gonna laugh at you said the
Mm.
cave name twice, but now I'm up.
Wow.
Whoa, this skull is
This
insane.
skull
Oh my
is
gosh.
2.35 million years old.
Million?
What?
Oh my what?
Million.
Wait, that doesn't sound like what I learned in school. But maybe
I
I'm
didn't-
dumb. I don't know.
I didn't
2
think
million?
the
Or
first
I didn't think humans were that old.
humanoids went back that I know.
Oh,
It's crazy.
just wait.
Okay.
Now, just to follow up here with the complete research, though, they originally thought this to be an adult female, but it was, I think later they figured out it was an adolescent male. But the name Plez, Miss Plez, came from the original scientific name that was given to it, which was Plesianthropus transvaalinus, which means near man from Transvaal, and Transvaal is a province.
Chantal,
But
just
this
a quick
was-
question.
Yeah.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I was
The
thinking
name.
the same thing. I'm like, you chose this.
You always
Because I like it. I can read it really well. In
I
my
like
head.
how you're just challenging yourself, and I really appreciate that about you.
Linguistically,
Thank you.
you are always on
It
it.
also doesn't help that I write these notes like the day before and
Oh,
don't give myself time
yeah.
to practice.
Because in your
Like,
brain,
what
you're
am I
like, oh, it's
doing?
clearly this word. Obviously.
Yeah, it's
I am
it's
always
clearly
guilty of that, so.
Plissanthropus.
Also, you and the skull have the same cheekbones, high and tight.
Yeah. Love it.
But this was later confirmed to be the A. africanus, which is what I said earlier. So this was a pretty amazing discovery because it confirmed the early human ancestors had small brains but were walking upright. And this also was huge for the science community and the connections to our evolutionary background. So I put in the next photo here. This is actually a statue at the caves of Dr. Broom and the skull.
Are they going to make out?
Maybe. He's just looking at it really intensely,
wow.
Megan.
From
Okay,
that angle,
it-
it does
it-
look much more like from the ape family versus
Yes.
the
Yes.
other photo.
It's a very
Which makes
cool
sense because,
sculpture,
you know,
actually.
2.36, we were probably a lot closer to ape than we were to
Yeah.
man by that time.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a quick PSA. We believe in evolution on this podcast.
I don't
so-
think we have to say that.
I don't know. Maybe someone just stumbled across
Science.
us for the first
Yeah.
time. But Dr. Robert Broom called the Sterkfontein Caves an anthropological treasure house of the world. And how right he was, because in 1994, Dr. Bronald J. Clark was going through some boxes from, I'm not going to, okay, it's Cercopithecus, which means old world monkeys, when he discovered 4 left foot bones that were unmistakably, can't say that word, hominin, and likely from the same individual.
How come
So-
they weren't
Wait.
cataloged before?
Because they were cataloged in the wrong place. They were cataloged with old
Okay.
monkeys, and he was going through this old stuff, and he was like, oh, that's not a monkey. This looks more like a hominin. So they dubbed the specimen Littlefoot, as the small collection of the bones
Aw.
was enough for them to ascertain that the individual had been able to walk upright.
That's crazy.
That's so cool how they
Yes.
figure all that out just from
I know.
like how do you see that? Like, wait a minute, that's not that bone from
It's
this.
something about, they said, I think that the ankle bone itself
Mhm.
too, with like how it moved, that it was more hominin
Yeah,
than
there
kind of
was
ape,
that really
so-
one of my favorite courses I took in my undergrad was on forensic anthropology.
Fascinating.
Mm.
Temperance
It
Brennan.
was so cool. Yeah, I think I kept the book somewhere too because I just
Oh, hell yeah.
not
I was
that
a
I've
nerd.
had to use it,
I
but,
kept
you know.
my textbooks. No, but number
It's
one,
still
you
it
look
was just
you look more impressive
Yeah.
when you have that book.
true.
And then you read it, so you earned it and you bought it. So I get it.
And
Yeah.
they were expensive.
They were
But
each
I
book was
read
like
that
$100
textbook for like I would read it for fun. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's how you know that you were meant to do a criminology degree and then later this
Exactly.
podcast and make
Mhm.
$18.64.
Yes.
that's right. That I share with two other
Yes.
people.
Yeah. Yes. Liz, the three
American.
ways. Yeah. American.
So, in 1997, Dr. Clark found more foot bones of the same specimen in separate bags, and this led to two fossil perpetrators to go to Silberberg Grotto, which was where this specimen was originally found, and try to find more of the skeleton. And at the time, it kind of seemed like a needle in a haystack, but actually within 2 days, Stephen Matsumi and Nikwain Molef were able to find more of the tibia protruding out of the ground,
What?
Wow.
like in this really hard rock.
They're like,
So,
I'm right here.
Yeah, essentially. And like when they took, because they had a cast of the foot, and they were able to like line it up and be like, yeah, this came from this.
Holy
It's
crap.
crazy.
I know. So it led them to believe that there could be more of a complete skeleton down there, though, because the legs were like in a full anatomical position.
Like,
So
like the whole skeleton body was there and
like
just
just there, just like protruding out.
these guys
So
dig now.
in September of 1998, it was announced. Oh, sorry, no. I was right. In September of 1998, it was announced to the press that an almost complete skeleton actually was found. A year later, even more parts were found, and it wasn't until 2017, 2 decades later, that the final skeleton was fully extricated, cleaned, and analyzed. Because the
This-
rock there is so hard, it took them a really long time to finally get everything cleaned. And so this is your next photo.
I'm so excited.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
So even though most people know the very famous Lucy found in Ethiopia, Littlefoot is actually more complete and older.
That's
Wow.
Littlefoot
holy
is about-
crazy.
I know. Littlefoot is about a 95% complete skeleton, but oddly enough, there seem to be no signs that Littlefoot had been damaged by predators, and I'll get to that in a minute. While the age of Littlefoot has been wildly debated over the years, in 2015, a new radioisotopic technique had come around, and they actually dated it to 3.67 million years old.
Like this,
That's
how have I
crazy.
never heard of this?
We need to go to this area. So, Littlefoot's anatomy and features were unique because she had gorilla-like shoulder blades, and the skull suggested an ape-like brain, but human-like feet. So she walked like a human, but her opposable big toe meant that she could still grasp and climb trees.
Which is classic
Wow.
ape. Yeah.
Mhm. Her shoulder blades also suggested that they had a strong upper body, that they were able to support its weight while hanging from branches and climbing.
Also very ape-like.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
The
Dr.
pelvic
Robert-
bone is crazy. Sorry. It's so
Yeah.
like human looking.
Yeah.
I know. And just like the whole body itself. Like it's just, yeah, it's nuts. Dr. Robert Clark and Dr. Jordi Sabater believe that the species likely slept in trees similar to chimpanzees and gorillas and sleeping nests, as it would have been too dangerous to sleep on the ground due to predators. So a quick side note, and I think we're kind of all on the same page here. I'm glad it's not just me. What the hell was going on 3.67 million years ago? Because I have a hard time deciphering between billions and millions of years ago. I
Yes.
was like,
Well, you think
what
about
was
the
here?
dinosaurs were like what, a couple hundred
Billions.
million? A
No.
couple hundred million.
No, it was like the million, but then there was also ones that were like billions, and then
I think Earth is billions.
a billion.
Dinosaurs
Yeah.
millions.
dinosaurs.
Yeah,
yes,
dinosaurs are
millions.
millions.
Yes,
Maybe
so
I
it's
think
still
that's
many,
where
many
I depends on
like,
which ones, but some were like 100 million, some were 200 million.
yes.
years.
So I had a hard time with this because I was like, what was around? What was happening? Were these guys walking with a T-Rex, or were they walking with like a
know.
woolly mammoth?
I
Or
feel
were they
so dumb,
walking
but
with,
my brain
like,
goes there too. I feel like
Okay.
human like creatures are more like saber-toothed tiger time and woolly mammoth time. Dinosaurs, we never saw a dinosaur once in our
So-
lives.
No,
yeah,
exactly.
ever.
But we still have sharks.
So we kind of have and
Sharks
alligators
and
or
trees
crocodiles?
are the OGs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what was happening? First, I was wondering if they could have been living in the caves. That was my first question. Like, why are the bodies being found there? And the answer to that is no. Because it was more likely that these were where bodies ended up. So whether it was from running from predators and falling into the caves by accident, or whether it was a lair where predators would bring them to feast, that's more likely how the bodies got there, because they said that these guys were still primarily living in trees at the time for safety. They weren't using
Okay.
tools. They didn't have any of that
Yeah.
stuff. They were just, living together in groups for safety and up in trees. So, considering that Littlefoot had no predatory marks, they're saying it's more likely that a fall caused the death, but the breaks that they found in the bones, they can't decipher if it was from an injury or from like when they were exploding the quarry out and things like that. So they don't know where these breaks might have come from. So they don't know the cause of death of Littlefoot. So then my second thought is, so what was happening at this time? So in the area of the time, there were called the Big Three. So false saber-tooth, which were specialists at hunting primates. They were about the size of a jaguar and very powerful. And many skeletons have been found with puncture marks that perfectly match the teeth of these guys, like the spacing. Then there were giant hyenas that were about the size of lions and had bone-crushing jaws.
Which they
And
still
then-
do.
Yeah. And they're just not as big anymore.
No.
And then, actually, hyenas are still pretty big.
But not like
But
like
yeah.
super animal size like
Right.
that
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
And then they had ancient leopards, and these guys were famous for dragging prey up into trees to keep them away from lions.
Which they still do.
That's
Yes.
so cool.
So many of the skeleton fossils in Sterkfontein were thought to have been being eaten in trees by leopards and falling into the caves from above, because sometimes it's
Gotcha.
partial bones that they were finding.
Damn.
But besides giant cats, young hominids' biggest threats were actually the African crowned eagle. We know this because there's a very famous South African discovery called the Tuang Child, where there is distinct talon marks were found behind the eye sockets of the skull.
God damn.
I know.
What a
And that's
imagine
still what a
seeing
lot of
that.
time-
to go.
And that's still what eagles will do. Like now with like, they
Yeah.
still are
It's your
known to
soft-
hunt young primates that way.
It's like a bowling ball.
Mhm. So, all in all, Littlefoot indicated that evolution was not a straight line, though, from ape to human. It was more like a bush, like we've seen in many of the animals, where it's you
Mhm.
have this where, okay, we kind of went off on this line and maybe our line didn't survive, but this other line did. So it was just kind of another branch in this tree of
Mhm.
how we eventually ended up.
Right. So we
humans.
might not be directly related to him.
Littlefoot.
Little
Yeah,
Maybe the same
Right.
source code.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But today, we aren't here for very, very cool archaeology and evolutionary lessons. We are here because Sterkfontein was also the place where a tragedy occurred. So on September 29th, 1984, 3 men headed into Milner Hall to start their descent into Milner Lake that morning. Nuno Gomez, which is the one that I was talking about, which has had many records over time, Malcolm Keeping, and Pieter Verhulsel. Peter was an expert at exploring dry caves and already an experienced diver, but he was relatively new to wet caving. But the men had a mission that day. Nuno had been exploring this part of the cave for a while now and wanted to lay a permanent safety line to the small air pocket that he found 120 meters in the flooded system.
So they're
So you
going to
can
go
go to
under the
that-
water. Oh my God.
You can go to that next photo there. I grabbed this from one of the videos that I watched online. So this, it's not to
Okay.
scale very well. I think that guy looks a lot bigger than what he should for a lot of these areas. But
This reminds me of like this super or the King Kong. Was that King Kong or Super Mario? The water level, the King Kong. Or sorry,
Lindsay.
Donkey Kong.
Lindsay, get
Donkey
it right.
Kong.
My brain isn't working. Reminds me
Yes,
of the
the
Donkey,
Donkey
Kong,
Kong.
water
Oh,
level.
I love that music.
Ah,
That's my favorite. It's so calming.
yeah.
This
I need
this
to
photo is terrifying. So it looks again
Yeah.
like an anthill cross section,
Mhm.
and
But
Um,
underwater.
and water is about halfway up, and there's
Yeah.
lots of little air pockets, but there's tons of water you have to swim through, and you're in a cave. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like this.
And yeah, if you don't have a map or something, how would you even know?
Well, and these guys were exploring this. Like Nuno was one of the ones that was exploring and trying to map this underwater area. So, this area was a relatively quote unquote easy cave dive because it was such a straight shot that they had to go. They did have some kind of tight areas that they would have to go through, but it was only about 20 to 30 minutes each way. So they went in and they reached that air pocket that you see there. So that's about 396 feet or 55.8 shacks away from the entrance of the lake. And this is about a 30 square foot room. So Nuno remembers that they get there, the three guys, and they're sharing a brief conversation about being the first humans to ever stand there and how exciting it was. But he didn't know at the time that this would be the last conversation that they would all have together. So this swim so far was a success. The line was in place and they descended on the way back. They swam in a line. Nuno at the head, Malcolm in the middle, and
in the
Peter at
middle.
the back.
Yeah.
But at some point, it would appear that the explorer's itch was too much for Peter. And he was clearly fascinated by the side passages because, like, who wouldn't be? There's all these branching off the main line and probably potential to find fossils.
Yeah.
Guys,
no.
these are cavers. Megan,
Yeah,
you
sorry.
you can't relate. Okay, these
No,
are people
I
who
have
want
nothing.
to do this.
I have nothing in common with these people.
Yeah. So I'm, things that he had never seen before. I'm sure he was just very excited. So at one point, Malcolm tugged on Nuno's fin to inform him that Peter was no longer trailing behind. So Nuno went down one of the close side tunnels. He could see his light and he caught him wandering. And likely annoyed, he, signaled him to return back to the line. But near the tight section, so if you look at the map, you see where Milner Hall is.
Mhm.
You can see there's like this little area that the line's going through. This is called like the tight squeeze. This is the first area to enter into the Swiss cheese area. So this
Mhm.
is called the squeeze. And so they get here and once again, they don't see Peter. But if you see underneath, there's another entrance into the big open area. And they thought, well, maybe he went down there. So they decided to go through the squeeze again and go into the open lake room. But they got in there and Peter wasn't there. So they had to go back. They went back again and they didn't have any extra line though. All the line that they had was laid there. So it was very hard for them to go searching because there's only so much they could do when they don't have a lot of this mapped. But they did search for 4 hours before coming up. They came up in little air
Wow.
pockets hoping that maybe Peter would be in one of them and found them, but they had no signs of his flashlight. And the silt at the bottom was getting really stirred up because in caves, right, you have all this rock silt that settles. And this is one of the things that I've read about with cave diving is that you have to be really careful with your fin and your fin movement to not build up too much, but eventually you will, and like you just don't have any more visibility. So by the afternoon, the men, they had called for help, but the fire brigade was unable to help look for Peter due to inexperience with cave diving.
Yeah. Like,
So Nuno had also called in his friend Craig, who was an experienced diver and had also dove with Nuno in this cave before they laid the line, but they still didn't have any luck. So the men, alongside the newly arrived police, searched tirelessly until 2 a.m. the next day. The police eventually called off the search due to decreased visibility and the assumption that they were not looking for a body. They were not on a rescue mission, that even if Peter was in an air pocket, the oxygen would be very limited and hypothermia would kick in. Only that's not what happened. Peter had turned into a side tunnel, likely thinking he was going to have a quick peek and beat the others back, but in a cave that is mostly unexplored, even if it wasn't underwater, a quick peek is more likely a death sentence. His fins would have stirred up a lot of the silt at entrances, and he probably would have started looking the same, all the entrances, and the silt would have been causing visibility to not be as good for him either. So Peter was lost in this maze that was down there, and the safety line was nowhere to be seen. So up from down, left from right, you can't tell where you are. So while some began to mourn him, Peter was very much alive. He had found his way into a separate unmapped air chamber. And when you're lost in a cave underwater, you're taught to stay put if you find somewhere with unlimited oxygen. So a lot of times you'll have these little air bubbles and eventually like there's
You use it
other
up.
cave things that I want to go to. Yeah, where people go to these ones and they use it up and they're just breathing in CO2. It makes them very, you know, then they can't think and they have to, they die. But Peter knew that air was coming in from somewhere, and so into this larger open space. They said larger, but someone said it was more kind of like think of like a walk-in closet size. This was about the
Okay.
size of the area that he was in, but large enough. So he stayed there. He had an oxygen tank still with oxygen in it, but he had no way of knowing how to get back to the guideline. So he stayed put. But his flashlight only had about 30 minutes of battery left.
Oh
So
my
the likelihood is that Peter was
He was
mostly
just
in
gonna
the
drown.
dark.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But what happened next is a bureaucratic red tape nightmare. The police divers, who were not cave specialists, took control of the site and shut down to outsiders to help. They assumed the body would eventually fall near the guideline and primarily searched that area back and forth. And a lot of this isn't mapped, so a lot of them, they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Nuno attempted to go and offer his expertise, but the police would not allow the potential of another lost civilian and wouldn't let him into the caves. Because the police also assumed Peter was already dead, they did not return to the cave until the following weekend.
Oh.
Oh my God.
What?
This was to let the silt settle so that visibility would be better to find the body. Time for Peter was ticking. It's dark. He's alone, likely feeling like he was going a little bit crazy because it's well known that the effects on the body when you have no visual or auditory input, our brains will make it up. So he was likely hallucinating sounds and voices and
wow.
images and had no food. For 6 weeks, the police divers continued their weekend exploration for Peter. Weekend exploration. They didn't look for him during the week.
Oh my God.
Once again, not venturing too far off from the guideline. Finally, the police opened up.
Sorry, they should have at least spent like 48 hours on it.
It's
Come on.
like, I understand that they had to let the silt go down and they were probably just thinking, well, we're just constantly going to build things up. But like the fact that they didn't ask for expertise when they had it there, like I understand them thinking, we don't want more people to get lost. We don't want more people to die. But at the same time, like they were also said he was dead. In their minds, he's dead. So in their minds, why are we killing potentially hurting other people for somebody that's already dead, right? So when they opened up, Speleological Association volunteers
There it is.
came in and they allowed them to search and see if they could find a connection between the dry and the wet area, because as far as they knew, there was no connection between the two. Roger Ellis was the man that led the group, and Nuno did come back and join them. After a few hours of searching, Nuno found a breakthrough connection that led right to Peter's emaciated corpse.
Oh no. For some reason I was like really hopeful that somehow he lived.
Remember the story
I'm
you told us about the Megan, the guy who was trapped in the boat that survived?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, it was
But
his
that was
name
only
again?
for a
But
few
yeah.
days, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
this has been 6 weeks.
Yeah. 6
So
weeks.
the next
I thought it
photo
was like a week. Sorry.
No.
I missed that.
So the next photo that I have there is you can see where they found the connection. So this kind of like whitish part where the yellow
Wow.
goes through had never been known before. So they were able to find it, and then that circle is where they found Peter. So he hadn't drowned. He just slowly faded away into death. The
didn't
autopsy of the body
drown? I'm
showed
shocked.
that he had lost. Well, he was on an island. He was on a little island
Wow.
there. The autopsy of the body showed that he had lost a staggering 44 pounds. So his body slowly ate his fat, then his muscle, while surviving only on water for an estimated 21 days, which they estimate according to his beard growth.
Oh my God.
Sorry, wait. He was alive for almost a month.
Yeah, but the
in a
beard would have
cave
stopped
by
growing
himself.
once he passed.
Yes, but then also then your skin retracts back so that you can have a little bit of more hair growth. That's
So
the
they
same thing
thought
with
that
nails.
vampires because the skin and the nails.
Yeah, but it's not actually still. But still, they
So how long
estimate
did they
about
think
20.
he
They said
actually
21 to
lived?
24. 21 to 24. They think he actually lived for.
Days.
Like,
Yeah.
That's wild.
oh wow, I didn't even think it was possible to live that long without any food.
If you
Because he was a
water-
bigger man and he had access to water, he had a lot of reserves for his body to kind of eat away at.
Okay.
So rescuers found we have some information on what his last days were like based on the evidence that was found there. So rescuers found his footprints in a cave silt, and he had walked 130 feet into a dark tunnel but hit a dead end at a wall of rock and was forced to walk back to the water where he assumed a search party would be looking for him. He had no food. He had a flashlight that likely died within the first day, and he spent roughly 500 hours in total in absolute darkness. He used his diving tank to bang it on the walls. They found like marks on it, likely hoping that the vibrations would reach rescuers since the rock is very good at conducting the sound and vibration. But once again, they were only looking on the weekends, so God knows what days he was doing this on.
Mm.
To stay hydrated, he had disassembled his flashlight and used the cap as a tiny cup to scoop up the cave water. And he must have known his fate by some point because they found "I love you, Cheryl and Ma" written by finger in the silt beside him, which was his final message to his wife and his mother.
Oh.
What was also very sad about this find was that divers at one point during the exploration for Peter were only about 30 meters away from where he was before they turned back to the guideline area. Obviously,
really
there was a lot.
tragic.
It really is. Obviously, there was a lot of upset knowing that Peter could have been found very quickly if they would have just opened this up to volunteers. The police thought that it was best to not get more amateur divers or curious onlookers lost since they had thought that it was a body recovery mystery and not a rescue operation. They were working with the knowledge that they had of the caves in 1984. So, a lot of it still hadn't been mapped, and they were sticking to their
Mhm.
idea that there was no connection between the wet and dry. So they didn't even think about letting anybody in. They just kind of, yellow taped off the whole cave.
I understand not wanting people who, dive casually on the weekends to come in and help, but they had like experienced divers.
Right.
Mhm.
And I know that it's difficult when they were so involved, like, he was a part of their team. And I understand that maybe that, you're just too close to it or what have you. But when you have the experts and they're there and they're not going to be going off like on a renegade mission by themselves, like they're with, officials, I
Mhm.
feel like maybe they still wouldn't have found him alive. Like, who knows exactly?
Mhm.
But it sounds like he lived for 21
The
days.
fact that his best friend found him within hours, though, of going in the dry caves
Right.
because he already had an idea of like there must be a connection somewhere.
And
Because
he
this guy,
he
he wasn't just a
understands the
wet
cave
cave
system.
diver.
Like, he
Yeah,
understands.
So
If they have more safety lines, that would have made
Well, they
people
would have
feel
had time
better, but-
now.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the police had very limited knowledge of how big the wet area was and how much had been largely unexplored. And I think that just as we see in a lot of different cases, the cops had blinders on. They're like, this guy's dead. He is definitely just died of hypothermia somewhere because he's in the water because
That
there's
is
no
called
way there's a connection to the
confirmation bias. It's like, well, I already
it's
know what
exactly
happened,
what it is.
so we're not even going to
So-
try because he's already dead, instead of actually thinking like, we have no idea what happened.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, they didn't kill him, but they definitely helped in his death, I think.
They didn't help find him. But and professional cave divers were actually really upset by all this because they knew that these police officers also weren't trained in cave diving. They were trained in open water and
Who
harbor
is?
diving.
Right. You think the first thing they would do
So-
is they would try to get an expert.
Yeah, accept the
this-
help.
Yeah, that's the thing is like they were hesitant and they shut out great resources that they had to be able to find Peter quicker. And like you can see like it's honestly so frustrating how quick Nuno found that opening.
Yeah.
So the aftermath of Pieter Verhulsel's tragedy changed everything for how South African rescue protocols happen, though. It proved that in a cave, missing doesn't mean dead, and keeping people out of the way can sometimes mean keeping the saviors from the missing. So the Mountain Search and Rescue, MSAR, was created, and the South African Speleological Association, SASA, was officially integrated into police responses, and their expertise was called on in future incidents all over South Africa. On a lighter note, Peter is the only death in this cave. While there have been many close calls and even heart attacks in the cave, they have managed to get everyone out alive.
Oh, that's good.
The wet part is actually strictly for those who are highly qualified divers as part of mapping expeditions. And they also now have a micro CT scanning technology to help make 3D digital reproductions of areas that are too tight or too dangerous for divers to enter.
That's pretty cool.
That is.
The cave was shut down, all of it, in 2024 due to flooding, but it was recently reopened on April 15th, 2025, and you actually are able to go and visit the light part of the cave where we're going to have my wedding, Megan.
Okay,
You can
that's-
visit that part.
that's
you can
the
go
only
and
girls'
see the
trip.
opening of the
Yes.
lake. So that is pretty cool that you can go and see that. Like there is like this whole, you can, it's called like visitor entrance and everything. You can go online, you can pay. It didn't even look like it was that expensive to go into the cave
Oh,
either.
just
And
the
like they
flights.
like guided
Okay,
tour.
so
Yeah,
we
just
really
the
can
flights.
get you married here.
Yeah.
This is
So
sounding more feasible each time we
Yeah.
bring it up.
just maybe DJ Shack will have to like keep the volume down so we don't cause any like earthquakes underground or something.
That's
Also,
true.
he's
We could always
quite
have the after
tall.
party somewhere else. You know.
Yeah.
You have it on
Fair.
top of the cave.
Yeah.
Here we go. That works.
Lots of
that
room.
works. So yeah, that is my Sterkfontein Cave tragedy with some evolutionary background.
This
these
this
tragedies
had
you tell,
all
I'm like,
your
they give me goosebumps. But
this story had all of your elements. It had
yeah.
like ancient
Words I can't say.
Well, hold on. It had words you can't say. It had ancient people found in
Yeah.
unique situations. It had diving math and science. It had death, obviously. You know, cops don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
girls trip. And
Yeah.
a wedding.
I
You hit
know.
all the main things. So
It's a
All the
classic
bingo,
Chantal
yeah.
case. Classic.
It's I think what was most funny about researching this was because obviously I had a very different upbringing than most people did. Was trying to remember because like, you know, I was young when I left. So trying to remember like how we used to try to explain away evolution when I was like, this is so clear. Like so clear. So
Yeah.
I was trying to
Yeah.
like look that up, and I was like having a chat with my chat GPT being like, how did Jehovah's Witnesses disprove
Remind me.
evolution? Like, what?
I've blocked out a
I've
lot
been
of it.
Yeah.
unindoctrinated. Please tell me how I used to do this.
I've
I
been
think some
decoded.
explanations is just that if they do think dinosaurs existed, they just existed with people.
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are actually considered old creationists. So
Okay.
because a day in God's, hang on, I'm going to close my door because I hear a video coming back. Because, you know, God created the world in the universe
7
in 6 days.
days.
6
Well,
days
no,
and
sorry.
rest on the
Sorry,
seventh.
right.
Yeah.
As soon as I
Megan,
said it. As soon
this
as I
is
said
why
it.
you have to rest on Sundays.
Where's our good
Um,
Christian girl, Megan?
I
Forget everything.
know.
She gone.
So, but because God is, you know,
A
all
woman.
being, yes, that too. He can, a day could be anything. It doesn't mean 24 hours.
It's
A day could
God's
be
day.
millions
Whatever
of years,
God's
billions of
says it
years.
is.
Idiot.
Like, so that's why Jehovah's Witnesses consider themselves more of like old creationists because they're like, well, yeah, like 6 billion years could have passed
Yeah.
while he was creating the earth. And like, yes,
Yeah,
he
that's
could have been
one day
creating
for
other
God.
creatures in between and they were coming and going and dying. And like maybe his day of rest, a bunch of stuff happened and then he created man. But man is still only 6,000 years old. And, you know, they also say like, well, there's all these missing pieces between like, you know, well, Littlefoot and
God
man.
was asleep.
So like clearly they can't be connected. Like they had to have made it. And it's like, well, how about we just haven't found it? Or we just haven't been able to find it, or, you know, like there's all kinds of reasons. And then they try to explain away carbon dating by being like, well, you could put a teddy bear in like a well full of like, what's it called? Like, there's this way of like making a fossilized teddy bear, but then they're kind of like, well, like no, like true scientists know the difference between something that was fossilized quickly through minerals versus break. Anyway, so
This is why
it was just-
education is so important and
It's-
reading but like literacy.
I mean, and no
'cause-
disrespect if you are religious. Like,
No,
go
because
No.
listen. I think that if people are involved in a religion and it makes them happy and it gives them
right, you have a community, like
well, to
totally-
me, actually, community is the biggest reason why. I mean, I do wish sometimes I was so religious. It's just you can be a modern person in a world who believes in science and have
Mhm.
faith in
Yeah.
more than just you. I think that is so normal and that's very human is to
yeah.
connect like that.
There's
But
a
it's
lot
when
of
people,
unexplained things, and
100%.
so
This keeps bringing me back to I can't remember the show. I want to say it was Penn and Teller's Bullshit, maybe, and they went to this theme park somewhere.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
I know exactly what theme park
Yeah.
you're talking about.
and I don't think it was Florida, but it was kind of like down there, and it was extremely religious, but the scary kind. And it had like children riding dinosaurs, like animatronic, and it was like
the Noah's
this...
Ark one. It's the
Is
Noah's
it?
Ark. Yeah.
oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
and they
It's funny because I
truly-
just sent my brother a video about that recently, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've watched like a whole thing on this."
Well,
It's
so
two
the-
people who were not religious go to this park that's supposed to be really religious.
soon 3
Mm.
people who are not
Yeah,
religious are going to go
yeah.
to this park. But yeah, the idea is
right,
that
girls trip.
this sect, which I cannot recall, it's some umbrella Christianity, you know,
Mhm.
truly does believe that humans and dinosaurs, because dinosaurs are real, but we were all created at the exact same time, more or less, and that's not the case. But I want to go to the park still because it looks like it's
I
fun.
just went to a pretty liberal church. I don't remember ever encountering this, and it just
Oh,
blew
mine
my
was
mind
never
that,
like this either.
yeah, that some people didn't believe in dinosaurs at all, or thought it was a lie, or
Yes, yes. It was placed there to trick you.
right.
Just, you know what, however, very much like Chantel, if you grew up in a very unique household where, you know, your religion was a little bit out there compared to
Little
your
strict.
current beliefs, please write in and let us know, because I'm just fascinated. And this is a non-judgmental area. I know we're pretty judgy on a lot of things, but you know, someone's beliefs, there's always a rhyme and reason to why someone thinks the way they do. So I think it's all about just understanding, communication, talking. So if you have some kind of unique perspective, maybe you grew up, you know, in a cult as well, I'd like to hear.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's in Petersburg, Kentucky, and it's called the
Okay.
Creation Museum.
Wait, you know what is also in Kentucky? I went to the Mammoth Caves. So they're probably
How
not
can
even
they have both those things?
they're probably not even close together. So
They're actually right next door.
If you go here, you won't want to go here. I don't
okay,
know.
caving, bourbon, chicken sandwiches, Creation Amusement Park.
All right,
Sounds like a
let's do
girls
it.
trip to me.
Okay, so
does.
if you want to go on our Kentucky adventure, I think it's going to be a road trip.
Kentucky
Just DM us and we'll start.
Is this near Lincoln,
booking
Nebraska,
flights.
by any chance?
Oh,
How
shout
far
out.
are they?
Shout out to our Lincoln folks.
I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Is that the city color song?
Yeah,
But they are not speaking so fondly of our
no,
Lincoln,
they're-
Nebraska
Hey,
he's
people.
not. But also, I've heard he's kind of a
Lincoln.
dickbag, so you know,
Yeah,
I don't
so
mind that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Just know that we've always been huge Lincoln heads over here. We're huge fans. All we do is talk about how much we love Nebraska, and
I'm sure it's
all
people
the things
from
we
how
Lincoln,
love
we'll
about
Nebraska
always be
still
right back.
listening at this point when it gets crazy.
Yeah.
Guys are
This
probably
is
still
where
with
we
us.
lose all those like 6 listeners.
Yeah, everyone else is long gone, but people from Nebraska are with us.
They're the real ones. I've always said this though.
Yeah.
I've always said that. Yeah. Okay.
If they are
Okay.
listening.
Well, we can stop this anytime we want. I guess so.
Can
Okay.
we? I
No.
feel like it's a runaway train. Heading down to Lincoln, Nebraska, and the next stop is somewhere in Kentucky.
Kentucky, let's do it.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. We have to stop this. I'll see you
Okay.
guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a moment to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leaving us a like or comment really helps. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, please visit our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/coastfiles. Email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.